You're watching ABC Action News, part of the Scripps News Group.
Hey there, everybody. So that line of severe thunderstorms that we've been tracking, the Weather Service has now issued a tornado warning. So we're going to be on here for a while. This runs until 5:45, guys. Okay, so what we're looking at here, and I'm going to just go ahead and honestly, guys, you can go ahead and take the graphic full. You can just go ahead and take it full on WSI on Max here. So here's what we have here. Latest from the Weather Service. All right, tornado warning for northeastern Pasco and southeastern Hernando County until 5:45. So about 2 minutes ago, there was a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, was located near Hill and Dale, or 9 miles east of Brooksville, moving south at 30 miles an hour. So you can see right here, okay, you see on our map here, there is certainly rotation going on. And what this is our weather computers, they have algorithms that determine the level of threat with any particular system. And what I'm going to show you here, this particular one right now with the tornado warning, we have impact scales on this, and it gives you kind of an idea of just what the threat is. At this point, we have not had any reports, and this is one of the situations where we're going to need our assignment desk and folks, and Lauren and Paul, you guys as well, can kind of keep an eye out on X as well as any other social media platforms, because that's kind of when we start to hear things. I mean, if you remember the tornado that we had earlier on in Pinellas County, we started hearing reports far quicker in those in social media showing video and whatnot. So what we're going to start with, you go ahead and look at the areas that we're most concerned about. I'm going to go ahead and turn off some of the areas that involve the lightning. Let's go ahead and, well, in terms of overall, let's just go ahead and look just at this down to street level right here, okay? So the area right here, what I was saying, that yellow icon that's spinning, that is our weather computer saying, all right, in terms of a threat, we are looking at anywhere that's yellow, or if it turns orange, it's a bigger threat, or if it turns red, it's an even larger threat than that. And based on what we're seeing right here, at least right this second, the algorithm is pointing more yellow. But what we're going to look at in this area, I'm going to turn off the storm track because it makes it a little bit easier to see what we're looking at. All right, so and I'm also going to turn the lightning off. All right, here you go. So there's where you're looking at right there, that area in red. This is velocity. When you're looking at radar, typically when you're looking at a radar where it's showing you rain, that's the radar bouncing off the raindrops. This is air motion. And what we look for with this sort of thing is an area of red, which is air blowing away from oh yeah, I mean, you can see it moving. I mean, it's very clear. That is definitely the radar signature of a tornado. That does not necessarily mean that it's on the ground, but it does definitely mean that there is some rotation there, and that's exactly what happens. So what I would encourage folks to do, if you live anywhere, and let's just go ahead and we're down to street level. This is off of US Highway 301, right, and then 45 here. So we're going to pull out a little bit here and show you exactly what we're talking about. This is eventually, right now it's in extreme southeastern Hernando County. This is not a threat to Brooksville. All right, so we were talking about Brooksville in that write-up. This is not a threat to Brooksville. This is more of a threat if you were to draw the line right here. In fact, let's go ahead and do this. Now, this is just going to be me drawing a line for you, but this will give you a kind of a better idea in terms of where we're looking in terms of timing. So Blanton around 5:20. Fortunately, at least at this point in time, this is in a pretty rural part of Hernando County and into Pasco County. It looks like it stays west of Lacucci. It looks like it stays just west of Dade City as well. But as you go down in this area, this is from Powerline Road. You're just east of the interstate, just east of I-75. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the motion over the last 15 minutes here, and you'll be able to watch this where it's going. So right there. See it? I mean, very clear, actually, where you can see the rotation. So, yes, there is no doubt we have rotation. Now, does that necessarily mean that that rotation is making it down to the ground? It does not. But I do want to say something. Most of the tornadoes that we see in the summertime, all right, most of those tornadoes are based on, a funnel cloud develops. Maybe you get a water spout. This is a different situation, and in my opinion, this is probably a situation that makes it a little more likely that you have a little bit larger threat, because this is due to low pressure. This is due to spin that's going on from that tropical system that we've been talking about. So again, from the Weather Service, let me tell you what they're saying is this dangerous storm will be near St. Leo and Dade City, although it does look like it's west of Dade City to me, right about now. Actually, maybe even a minute ago. Other locations impacted by this threat include Darby, San Antonio, Ridge Manor, Blanton, Dade City North, and Spring Lake. So at this point, unfortunately, that's probably, if you live, I mean, if you have anybody who's driving on I-75 anywhere in extreme southeastern Hernando County or northern Pasco County, just to the west of La Cucci, I mean, here, I'll show you this area right. It's right here, right? There is where we're talking about, all right? So if you have somebody driving on I-75 and you look off to the east, you're probably going to see it. And I think there's at least a 50, 60% chance that this is actually making it down to the ground. Now, one thing we're not seeing quite yet, is a debris ball. Okay, I'm not seeing that with any of this yet. So, and if you remember, with the last storm, and Paul and Lauren, we were talking about this in Pinellas County. So if you remember that tornado that impacted the mobile home parks, if you remember, there was a debris ball there. You could see debris. Remember seeing the video of the trees that were going up with those? Yeah, so I mean, and that is something that we could, I'd say there's a legitimate chance that we actually could see the same kind of thing with this, because this is a decent size rotational. And I can just show you again as we put it in motion. I mean, there it is, right there. So this warning is set to continue until 5:45. Now, I'll say this again. The majority of our tornadoes in Florida in the summertime, we don't typically see a long track tornado, but this one is a little bit different just because we have rotation off to the east. So what was that, Josh? Okay, so yeah, we're looking at some of our FDOT cams. I don't know if we have an FDOT cam that's in this part of extreme northern Pasco County, but, and I'm also going to, let me go ahead and call up the Weather Services. They have a Slack channel where they pretty much give information real time as it happens. And what they have said is pretty robust couplet. Popped up there for a second at 3,000 feet. Now, that was earlier on, actually. Never mind. We're going to continue to scroll down here, because this obviously has a pretty impressive couplet as well. And a couplet is just the signature that we have a good rotation. And that's exactly what we obviously have with this one as well. So, so at this point, we're still, if you're just tuning in, the area in pink right here, that appears to be what I would say, if you have any kind of a center of circulation, that's where you're talking here. And as we put it in motion again, I mean, yeah, it's actually, boy. So we do have a shot in that area. Let's go ahead and call that up and see what we're looking at here. Yeah, that's just, unfortunately, that, I mean, obviously you're talking about torrential downpours, but if that camera, and not to mention, you're going to have a rotation that's wrapped in rain anyway. So you're definitely not going to really be seeing much out of it. But the point is, I mean, it's a pretty, I mean, I'm not going to lie, this is a pretty significant rotation here. So I would not be the least bit surprised if we actually are looking at a tornado right on the ground right now. I'm looking for some updates from the Weather Service here, and they're just still watching it closely. Yeah. So, and we are getting some. Well, that's, yeah. We're getting some additional information, but at this point, I'll be honest. Let's go back down to street level again, because if you live in this area, it's just east of I-75. Potentially, it could cross I-75. So if that's the case, I have no doubt we're going to get some responses there. But I am not 100% sure that this is on the ground. Neither is the Weather Service. Their source is a radar-indicated tornado, which is exactly what you're looking at here. I mean, we can go back and call back up the regular radar again, and I'll go ahead and show you. So this is a look at what's happening right there. Now, that's not the kind of map I want. I want this one better. Here we go. So if we zoom in, right there, it's obviously, it is in the middle of this very large cluster. And watch what happens when we put this in motion. You see the rotation. You got low pressure off to our east. I mean, think about it. When we have a tropical storm or even a hurricane and we get all that rotation, it is very, very common to get tornadoes. It happens more often than not. So what we're looking at here, this is all the rain and all the lightning in that area, and it's very difficult, and it's pretty much impossible to tell from this angle. So that's why we go ahead and look at the velocity, which is the wind. And as I said, I take off the storm track or take off the lightning, and then we have a much better representation of what's going on here. So let's go back in. All right, if you live, and again, now we're in Pasco County. So Hernando County, you are out of the woods. All right, this is near Trilby Road. Now it's moving farther south. Now remember, this update comes in. You see it every 2 to 3 minutes. All right. So clearly, in terms of wind, with this right now, we're looking at wind. Well, that's just the warning area as well. Again, still 545. The warning. Now, sometimes the Weather Service will go ahead and end a warning sooner, just because they no longer see that there's a threat. At this point, I'm still not seeing that. So calling back up, looking again from what the Weather Service is saying, and I'm still not showing anything different. So just the tornado warning. Latest report was just getting a report of at least a funnel cloud looking towards the tornado-warned storm. So that was 30 seconds ago. So 30 seconds ago, at the very least, the Weather Service is saying they're getting a report of a funnel cloud looking toward the warned area. And what one of the Mets said, the Weather Service, when they issued the warning, they kept it simple. Really rapid spin up in Hernando over I-75. So that's what prompted them to issue this tornado warning. Now, we are not under a tornado watch. We were not, the threat was not deemed high enough. It wasn't zero, it was marginal. And if you looked earlier, and Greg was talking about this morning as well, SPC did have us in a marginal risk of severe weather. But I'm going to tell you, more often than not, they don't do a great job forecasting tornadoes in Florida. It's just our tornadoes are very different than most of the country. Now, when you get low pressure like we have here, that's another story. So I'm going to go ahead and take this storm track off here, and I want to go ahead and query what the wind we're looking at on this one right here. So not looking at a ton in that on that scan right there. All right, what about over there? So you do have some more over on that side. So if you look over here, you're actually looking at some brighter colors, which means stronger winds in the area from south of Spring Lake. But your rotation is going to be in the general area, somewhere broad rotation right about there. Dade City, if you're looking at it right here, Dade City also has a little bit of something going on there, but probably not a big deal. There's also quite a bit of wind east of Zephyr Hills. This is a completely different entity, but you're talking some wind there, 57-mile-an-hour wind gusts with that storm. So at the very least, you're looking at a severe thunderstorm outside of the area that is warned for the tornado. And if you're just tuning in, well, and go figure, just what I said. The Weather Service has now issued a severe thunderstorm warning for that area. So makes a lot of sense, because even out, you have three really. So now you have this severe thunderstorm warning because of this cell right here. And there it is. Citrus, Hernando, Hillsborough, and Pasco County until 6 o'clock. That is, I don't want to say your everyday severe thunderstorm, because it isn't, but as Floridians, we know we get, and boy, there's definitely some wind there. Check that out. I'm going to go ahead and take this off again. So right there, northeast of Zephyr Hills, you've got 50 to 60-mile-an-hour winds. So that right there is the reason that you have that severe thunderstorm warning that was issued for those areas. But we still have the tornado warning that remains in effect. Oh boy, yeah. There's definitely some wind here. I'll go ahead and pop the watch and the warnings back on. So this is set to expire. I just lost the radar here. That's set to expire at 5:45. Here's the bigger picture. Yellow box, severe thunderstorm warning. Red box, tornado warning. We go back, call up the velocity. And by the way, I'll just throw this out here. So when you have this kind of a setup, you can actually see multiple tornadoes that can form. When you have a big area of spin coming from low pressure, that tropical system that we've been showing you. I'm going to bump back over to that and show you this. So you see that where the X is, right? You've got rotation. It's an area of low pressure. So just like any tropical storm that comes in, and this is not a tropical storm, but this is a rotating storm. So anytime you get that and it's over Florida, I mean, boy, look at the way those storms just exploded the last couple of hours. Well, that's where we are right now. And by the way, this is now showing a orange rotation. So that means, according to, by the way, this is another one. So this was my concern, as I was just saying. There is not a warning for this particular area of rotation, but it is, guys, we might be here for a while, because when you have the setup like we have, it is certainly possible that this could develop south of Plant City in Hillsborough County, and it's gone right now. But again, it is, the ingredients are there for additional vortices, for additional areas of rotation. I'm going to go ahead and take the lightning off again because it's just very challenging to see that. But I will pop up the wind again, the velocity. And once we take the lightning off, it makes it a little bit easier to see it. There's your lightning. So, you know, what's interesting to me is it almost looks like we're getting a little more wind outside the warned area here over right in the area in south central Pasco County right there, you know, in that general area. And that's where the severe thunderstorm warning is, which, by the way, from the Weather Service, 525 severe thunderstorms located along a line extending from Brooksville to near St. Leo to near Zephyr Hills, moving west at 20 miles an hour. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts reported. So areas impacted by this would be St. Leo, High Point, Lake Lindsay, you know, Hillsborough River State Park. You got Shady Hills, Glen Lake, St. Leo, Richland, South Brooksville, and Weeki Wachee as well. But again, I'm going to take this storm track off and take the warning off so you can kind of see it a little bit better. Does look like the rotation has weakened a little bit, but it's still there. But it does look to me like it's starting to weaken the first cell, but you're still picking up a lot of wind right here. That's a 60-mile-an-hour wind. So there's your severe thunderstorm warning. So let's recap. What we have here, this is where the rotation is, okay? Right there. There's your rotation, or what's left of the rotation. The areas to the west of the rotation from northern Hillsborough, south central Pasco County, and Hernando County, you're talking a big area of 60-mile-an-hour winds. But the tornado warning was issued for this area west of Dade City, and I'll pop the warning back on for you so you can see exactly where it is. Well, there's your storm tracks right there, but the warnings are right here. So there's your warning, all right? And there's actually two areas that you could argue might have a little bit of rotation going. One around St. Leo's and the other one northwest of Dade City. But it does look, at least right now, to me like it looks like it was a little bit weaker than it was earlier. I'm seeing if we're getting any updates from the Weather Service. Reports of lightning hitting trees, issued severe thunderstorm warning. Reports of trees down. Okay, so here we're starting to get some storm reports. So the assignment desk should probably be listening to this part. So we're getting reports of trees down and debris near I-75 in South Hernando County. All right? So again, now this storm is no longer in Hernando County, but if we go back and look at the last 30 minutes, you can see where it was going. It started in Hernando, and I'll be honest, if you look here, I'm going to show you this. The rotation was fiercer between Spring Lake and Lacucci, and now it's not nearly as impressive. But the warning was extended. I just got an update from the Weather Service. Tornado warning remains in effect until 5:45. So when they issue that report, which they literally just did 30 seconds ago, that's them saying they're not going to cancel it. But here, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. This gives you a better idea. So watch this. So look at the rotation at the top of the red box. See how the red, and that's when the warning was issued. So look, you have your rotation right there over I-75, and boy, that's right. Yeah, that's where that debris is going to be. So I would say if the areas along it's over here, but along 98 and 75 is probably where you're going to be finding some of that debris. So, and then right there, the warning was issued. See, so there's your tornado. A minute later, the warning was issued. It's moving southeast. I'm sorry, southwest. Continues to move. You can't miss it. And now it looks much, much weaker. So, but at this point, we still do not have any cancellation of the warning, although I will tell you, it looks to me like it's about gone. I mean, because just watch the last 15 minutes. And the red and the green together, here's what we're looking at. Right here. Red and the green together, okay? See that? And then, as you go in time, it's still there. A lot of red, a lot of green. It's like a merry-go-round. Air's traveling in one direction. Think about it, you being in the middle of a merry-go-round. Half of the time, the air is moving one way. The other half of the time, the air is moving the other way. It's moving toward you and it's moving away based on the radar site. So that's what that red and green means. Air traveling away from you is red. Air traveling toward you is green as it rotates, and that's why you have that colors. But look how it just starts to go away. See that? Once it's on the county line, it still looks impressive, and it goes away. And I'll be honest, unless something, and they can always redevelop, they always can, but at this point, it looks to me like the threat is significantly lower than it was. And this was still the latest at 5, this was 2 minutes ago. So it said at 5:31, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was over St. Leo or near Dade City, moving south at 30 miles an hour. So we're going to stay on until the warning is either expires or discontinued. But I would not be the least bit surprised if they let this thing go pretty soon, because while we are still getting a lot of wind outside of that warning area, and we're talking 60-mile-an-hour winds here. I'll go ahead and take the warning off. All right, so that brightly lit kind of turquoise color there, that's 64-mile-an-hour winds, 63, 64-mile-an-hour winds. So that's why you still have a severe thunderstorm warning in the area in yellow. And that includes most of Pasco County, northern Hillsborough County, pretty much all of Hernando County, and Citrus County, rather. But you still have that tornado warning. And I'm just waiting to see if the Weather Service is going to cancel it. So they've canceled. No, it's severe thunderstorm warning for something else. So no, it's still, they're still letting it go. But I don't know, in my opinion, I think the threat for the tornado, unless it were to redevelop, because you just can't see it anymore. But again, so watch it again. Red, just spin, and then it just kind of goes away. It might be just south of St. Leo, what's left of it right now. So you know what, Paul, here's what I'm going to do. Okay, we're going to go to a break. I just don't think we are looking at a threat right now. I just don't. I don't know, but if we're just going to go to a break, then maybe I will just stay on. I mean, I thought if there was something that, Paul, if you had any kind of, are you seeing anything at all, or other than the fact that there are trees down and some debris right on the Hernando County border?
Yeah, no, so far, thankfully, this appears to be in a relatively unpopulated area where the trees would be the major victims here, and hopefully that's what, is the case. As it moves south, though, you're going to get into more populated areas like San Antonio, Pasadena Hills, even Wesley Chapel. Hopefully it doesn't go that far south, and hopefully it just dies out. But you were mentioning before, Dennis, about the circulation where X marks the spot, the system that you've been monitoring off the coast of East Florida there in the Atlantic, and that is that the engine that's driving this, because the circular motion of these storms and then the low pressure system, is that what we should be expecting this week? Because this isn't just a one-day event. It seems like this is going to be one of those weather alert weeks that every day we might be looking for something.
I'll tell you, Paul, I think that's the case tomorrow, but I think once it goes into the Gulf, we'll be on the drier side. And I actually, personally, in my opinion, I think by Wednesday, we start to see rain chances drop significantly. And I know there's been a lot of talk, oh, we're going to have rain all week. I don't see it. I mean, yeah, it's still the rainy season, and we are going to get rain all week, but you're right, X marks the spot. So tomorrow, as this low moves across the state, we're still going to see some significant rain. Matter of fact, I think the warning looks like it may have been canceled. I'm not seeing the box anymore.
And it's almost 3,000 strikes of lightning, and is that the entire corridor of lightning there you're talking about? Almost 3,000
still there,
strikes? Barely.
Yeah, it is. It is still there. I couldn't see it because there's so much red on the radar there. But yeah, there's the box. So it's, look, you know what? We might as well just let it ride it out. We've got another 6 minutes and see if in my opinion, we're not looking at circulation that really warrants. I mean, you could see it. Boy, it looked good for a while. I mean, look, when it was in Hernando County, that was when we're getting the reports of damage, of debris.
Does lightning have any correlation or relationship at all to circulation?
Yeah, it can. Yeah, when you see an explosion of lightning, it quite often means you're looking at a cell that could be getting stronger. And you bring up an interesting point, Paul, because typically with our afternoon thunderstorms in the summertime, that's not the case necessarily, but because this is relating very much to what we were talking about here, that tropical low that's developing, it acts more like we're getting rotation. Right? Look, you're already getting spin. You already have low pressure. In our afternoon thunderstorms, they pop up because of the sea breeze or the Gulf breeze or whatever the case may be. But this is forming from low pressure. Well, you already have spin, just like you do when we have. Still, keep looking for them to cancel it, but it's still in effect. You know, when you have a tropical storm, we often get tornado warnings. Well, in this particular case, we've got them too, but it's just very different with this because, let me see if we have something else going here. No, it's still there.
And I gotta ask you, has the Saharan dust played any role in this at all?
I don't think so. No, I do think later in the week it will, but we apparently have some FDOT cam. Yeah, so obviously, you know, it's a rough go of it.
Yeah.
They will let it expire at 5:45 is what they just. So they're saying the tornado warning for northeastern Pasco and southeastern Hernando will expire at 5:45. So they actually have not expired it, but I'm going to go ahead and call it and say I haven't really been concerned about it for the last 10 minutes. But so here's what we're going to do. I'll show you one more time. We have a severe thunderstorm warning with a lot of wind. Look, the wind that's going on around Wesley Chapel or just about to go to Wesley Chapel, man, that's some wind. I mean, check this out. These are wind levels 60, 65 miles an hour. So forget a tornado. I mean, we have EF0 winds just from straight line winds from this severe thunderstorm warning, and that's the areas that the light blue color, right? So that's going on there, and it's also going on around San Antonio. But the threat, at least right now, of the tornado is pretty much over. So here's what we'll do. Let's go ahead and go to break, and we'll come back and we'll give it a check if anything new has popped, and then Paul, you can take back over because let's be honest, severe thunderstorm warnings in Florida, we get those pretty often. The tornado warnings are the ones that we want, we're obligated to take a closer look at. So tornado warning about to expire. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect till 6 o'clock. And what was that, Matt?
Dennis, they want
you got
to
a
ask
question?
you, Plant City. Is Plant City that situation you were talking about?
Yeah,
earlier?
so they've got this area right here. Let's see what the probably a flood advisory. Yeah, okay, so here's something else we got going. So we have a flash flood warning in that area. So the area that was showing rotation, Paul, is not, at this right this second, is no longer showing, well, we never got a warning out of it, but our computers were saying, hey, some decent rotation there. But what we are seeing now is a flash flood warning till 7:30. So what that means is for eastern Hillsborough County, we have at 5:37, Doppler and automated rain gauges have estimated between 4 and 6 inches of rain has already fallen in that area in green, all right, the green shaded area. And the expected rainfall rate is 1 to 3 inches in an hour, and flash flooding is expected to begin shortly, all right? So, look, you know the geography of this area very well,
right,
as I do. There's no major rivers in this area that we're really particularly concerned about from this flooding. This is just street flooding in neighborhoods, correct?
Right. I mean, you have Walden Lake, but right, no major rivers in that area.
So the area in green has already seen 4 to 6 inches of rain in the last couple of hours, maybe. Hey, let's go ahead and look at radar since we're off of velocity now. Let's jump back to what most people are used to seeing, which is radar that's talking about rain. And here it is. So when we look right in here, that's where most of the rain is, and we can show rainfall estimates over the last 3 hours.
This is a Turkey Creek area, south of Plant City there.
So here's the bullseye. In just the last 3 hours, they've had 6.3 inches of rain. In 3 hours. So that's areas east of Valrico. So, and the concern is flooding. This is, when we hear flash flooding, I don't know about you, but most people are thinking about Texas.
Right.
What Texas had to deal with and what the Carolinas had to deal with. So our flooding situations aren't as perilous as areas along the river, but there are still absolutely potentials for cars to get flooded out driving into flooded areas. So point is, if you know anyone in these areas and they haven't made it home yet or they're driving home, give them a call and remind them, never drive into flooded areas like this. Never. The old expression is turn around, don't drown, because you're talking this is just 3 hours worth of rain. Those are the totals that we're looking at. So let's go back and look at radar again.
Well, you saw people pulling over the overpass there where the tornado warning was. And whenever I see that, as a native Floridian, you know it's bad because people can't see, basically.
Yeah, and the tornado warning obviously has expired, as we said. So now we're looking just at a severe thunderstorm warning. So severe thunderstorm warning areas in yellow. Winds have been about 60 miles an hour in some of these spots. Let's go ahead and see if that's still the case. This is real-time data here. So take the warning off, and you've got winds in the highlighted areas, 40, 50, the pink areas, 50. So 40 to 60 mile an hour winds. Now, this is a loft. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's translating down to the surface, but I think it is. I mean, I think it is. And then your areas in Plant City, you're also looking at some wind, not as much as we were, 30, 40, but Plant City is dealing, well, areas from Plant City southward, which is where that flash flood warning remains in effect. So, yeah, we're getting reports, 54 mile an hour wind gusts on I-4 and Socrum Luke Road. That was just a report. So, yeah. So clearly we're still looking at severe thunderstorm warnings, but we're also dealing with the potential for flash flooding in areas in east central Hillsborough County, right there in the green box, where they've already seen 4 to 6 inches of rain, more to come. And this, go ahead and loop it for you. So yeah, this is this heavy rain that's over Wesley Chapel. I'm going to show one more thing and then we'll go ahead and go to the break. But I'm going to take this off. And you see the bowing. So, Paul, you see how this kind of looks like a bow out here?
Yeah.
It's because that's wind that's pushing that. So that's the 40 to 60 mile an hour winds. And in terms of neighborhood levels, so if we take this, show the direction that it's moving, here's some of the time frames where the rain, or that the wind and the heavy rain, the leading edge, is moving through. If it makes it all the way to the coast, Newport Richey, Holiday area, maybe Tarpon Springs, you're talking probably about 615 to 620 if it hangs together that long. Mm-hmm. All right. So So there you have it. The tornado warning expired. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect in the areas in yellow, and you have a flash flood warning for Hillsborough County, east central Hillsborough County, from Plant City all the way down past 60 and down to the south. So we're going to recoup, and we'll keep our eyes on this. We'll be back with an update in just a couple of minutes here on ABC Action News at 5:30.